Boyd Bushman, senior scientist for Lockheed Martin, talks about extraterrestrial craft, anti-gravity technology, encounters with extraterrestrials from the planet Quintonia, as well as picture evidence. Let's watch.
Got a picture of up close and personal. This is a UFO which is ready to take off, and it is very up close. And they inform me that there are three elements which the UFO is contained. One is telluride, the other is germanium, the other is palladium. I did not say a metal once. And not only that, but the things pick up and fly using anti-gravity. Now,
I understand it's kind of hard to make out some of the things that he's saying here. I wish we had some subtitles on the screen, but he started off with showing an image of an alleged spacecraft, UAP, as it's getting ready for takeoff.
that's one picture. Here's another picture. In this case, the UFO is not turned on, ready to fly. Therefore, it only shows on the upper part of it. And generally, it's white on the underside when power is applied. Here's also another of the same order. Now, these UFOs are 38 feet in diameter, and it was rather surprising to me, since I actually physically gave them my camera. They took this picture as a UFO was departing. Within one flick of my camera, they got 3 UFOs. That's real. And yeah, we don't know why either. Now also, when UFOs come in, they like we have a heads-up display for our pilots. They do too. This is what their pilots see in order to tell them how to come to Area 51 and land.
Who developed these pictures? It looked like he went to Walgreens with a disposable camera, and they just developed pictures. Like, hell, look, I think this man might have took some pictures of some aliens and UFOs. This is his belongings, so we got to give it back to him, because they definitely go through them pictures. They see everything.
Not only that, they can go to a vertical hole in a mountain over 51 and go down a shaft. They don't have wheels. They don't have anything like that. They take off by going up straight, and then not only that, but they travel extremely rapidly. Their home planet is Quintonia, which is 68 light years from us. They, to my surprise, when I asked them how fast they take to get from that, it should be 68,000 years to make it according to Einstein. But they're able to make it to us in 45 years. So I gave them an assignment to photograph the planets from space as they were coming back. And they did that. And you see Jupiter and Saturn and Mars and Earth.
Wait a minute. Is he alleging that the aliens took these pictures? Or some of these pictures? He handed them his camera and they snapped some pictures of outer space? But that whole thing about their planet being 65 light years away, and it should take them 65,000 years to travel from their planet to Earth, and it should take them 65,000 years for them to travel from their planet, Quintonia, to Earth, but they do it in 45 minutes. He said 45 years, but the text appeared on the screen like it was a mistake. 45 minutes. What kind of technology do they possess?
Here's another. Now, we aren't going through motherships or anything like that. Nevertheless, those are the now when they actually get powered up and actually start traveling, it turns like this. you do not hear sound. They're up, they travel like that, they look like that, and they travel extremely rapidly. Now, the question is about who was flying these things. He therefore said, fine, they're approximately 5 feet, 4.5 to 5 feet tall. They had one or two of them around that were 230 years old, and we have a total of at least 18 that exist and operate with our facility as Teller set it up.
All right, so now Boyd is showing us images of alleged aliens or an alleged alien. Now, when looking at the comments underneath this video, people are saying that this man is much older. He doesn't have anything to lose. He probably only has a few decent years left in his body. So he's at a place where he feels like it's necessary for him to release this information for public knowledge, because he feels as though the public needs to know about the actual existence of extraterrestrials and UAPs.
Now notice the eyes are different, nose are different, but they do have 5 fingers, 5 toes, 2 eyes, and rather strangely enough, I asked him how they communicate. He says, well, it's like this, Boyd. You all of a sudden have a question in your mind. You walk into a room with one of them, and all of a sudden you find yourself giving the answer to your question in your own voice. They're able to use your own voice by telepathy to talk to you. And I said, fine.
These aliens have 5 fingers, 5 toes, just like we do. When you want to communicate with them, you ask yourself a question, you appear in their presence, and the answer comes to you in the form of your own voice via telepathy. I've never heard that before. Never heard that before. You hear that, they'll speak to you via telepathy, but the whole idea of you hearing your own voice is like, how do you trust that you're just answering your own question rather than it actually being information coming to you from this extraterrestrial? Fascinating.
Now that's how they look front. But when you turn around and look at the back, it's like that. Now notice that they have 3 backbones. They're actually cartilage. Nevertheless, it's a much more efficient system than ours. They also have 3 ribs in their system rather than more. This is also the back side of an alien. Here's a 45-degree look. And here's the back of the head. Notice the veins, no hair. And now when we talk about aliens, I pushed the issue, and he said, well, there's kind of 2 groups of aliens. He divided them, they divide them into 2 groups. One group he calls, it's like you have a ranch. And you have a ranch, and you find that one group are your wranglers that know how to wrangle your cattle. Or others are rustlers, ones that steal your cattle. And indeed, that the 2 groups do act differently. To the ones that are wranglers are much more friendly and have a better relationship with us. Here's the other side of the alien too. Now also notice that their feet, where they have 5 toes, the toes are joined together like a frog, and yet they are dissimilar. Now, there was a surprising occurrence.
Okay, that's interesting. He said that their toes are joined together like a frog, insinuating that they have webbed toes, but they have just as many toes as we do, 5 toes. But why would they need for their toes to be webbed if nothing has been mentioned about them being in a very wet climate?
And that is, my friend had one of them that was a friend, and he died here. And 10 days after his death, I was out visiting my buddy who's in this picture. And if you look very close, you can see that his friend is in spirit form and right over his left shoulder. You can also see that the fingers are long, that there is something. We have an expression that basically say when a person dies, they stay around their body for 3 days and then go off, and they basically have the same thing that happens to them. Now, with respect to the alien craft, we have American citizens which are suited up like this, and they are working on UFOs 24 hours a day, and we're trying to learn what to do. These are 2 guys, 2 American citizens, and they're trying to protect themselves against germs and things like that. And here's another view of them. And here's another one. There's an upper part of a UFO and a lower part of a UFO. This is the upper part, and it's just one of them up there. They have, generally we give them suspenders so that if they start floating, they don't have gravity on the inside. Somebody can grab them and pull them over to the side. And this is the home planet that they come from, which they call Quintonia.
All right, you guys, we're about to move on to the final part of this video. It's only about 3 minutes long, and I'm sure you guys are thinking the same thing that I'm thinking. I wish we had better close-up images of the pictures that he's providing us. Like that last image that he just showed of allegedly what their planet looks like. It looks like a very dark planet. I could only imagine that maybe their species is so advanced that, hell, they can turn on and off their ability to see in the dark. Yeah, that image was entirely too dark to make out exactly what it was that we were seeing. All right, now what does he have here? He got this paper where like he got all these printouts of UFOs, UAPs that were printed on pieces of paper and cut out and then taped onto this larger poster board. It seems like, damn, this stuff is compelling for sure. Let's see what he's talking about.
And we have one triangle, then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we have one that's 150 feet across, if not larger. And each one of these are separate documentation of UFOs that were photographed and taken across the world from the year 2004. Now, when you actually get what that all means, is a UFO, when it's white on the enemy side, is ready to fly like that. And it's anti-gravity, that's the reason you don't hear anything. But when it's just parked means just floating in air. It could be above your house, like this, and this. This turns out to be the heads-up display that the aliens see of how to go to Area 51 and store their craft. Nevertheless, this is what the craft looked like. That's how they changed power. And
real quick before he shows us other poster board, this makes me think that Area 51 is considered to be a safe place for extraterrestrials to visit when they come down to planet Earth, and maybe even where they conduct their arrangements or business with Earthlings. I don't really know, what to think of it, but that would kind of make sense with how heavily secured that location is.
And notice that here's an egg-like thing that is standing on end, only because it has no gravity itself. And that is a piece of UFO germanium. And this little dot is a piece of neodymium magnet, which is above the germanium, and it's floating all by itself. And that, again, is a UFO. And we don't know why, but the crystal appears to be a colored rose, and we can't figure out why yet. There's a whole batch of analysis that we're having to do. Alien, side view, front view, top view, line. And that's the power center of palladium in the middle of the craft. In case I missed anything.
Hold on, I want to take a closer look at this. This is interesting to see because they're alleging that this is an actual alien. I'm not sure if he's deceased or incapacitated, whatever the case may be. But this looked like this is supposed to be his hand and foot, which looks very human-like. Again, this is supposed to be the back of the alien head, supposed to be very veiny. But when you look at the coloration, and this could be a simple lighting thing, the coloration of what we're seeing here that's supposed to be allegedly the back of the alien's head versus what we actually see from the alleged alien's head, the colors is quite different. You got some more pinkish tones here, and here you got some more yellowish tones in the front of the head here. But taking a closer look at this, the way the eyes appear, they're black. They're not super wide in a way that I would think they would be. It almost seems as though they do have eyelids that they can blink. The nose, the mouth is much different than the grays that have been depicted throughout my entire life. But yeah, you would almost think that these aliens were an advanced civilization of the human life form, based on how they look, how they appear. That's all I got for y'all today. Somebody sent me this, and I thought it was just too interesting, too fascinating not to talk about. But I want to hear from you guys. What do y'all think? Do y'all think he was full of BS, or do y'all think that he presented some actual evidence of extraterrestrials and UFOs and UAPs? Comment down below, and I'm gonna catch you guys in the next one. See you.